losing my temper because I think I have to explain some things tonight. Yeah. Why does it sound so quiet? It sounds like T. Nathan. Seems like T. Nathan losing his cool. You sleep. Mm, 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 mm. Hey, hey, goodbye. Uh, uh. Mm. Yeah. All of a sudden, Crumb Snatchers sleep. Crumb Snatchers never sleep this time. I got a big check mark. I know you're not asleep. I guess she'll sleep. Oh, let's see. Am I? Sound check, sound check. Greetings, salutations. Greetings, salutations. Welcome in. Come on in. Come on in. Greetings and salutations. Welcome. Conversations with TNathan. 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. You're right. We're on time. We're on time. How are you all doing? How's everybody doing? Come on in. I'll take a moment. Come on in. Come here before you go to bed. I'm about to go to get. Come here. I'm looking up books for the home library. I can give you a tour. Would you put me some Tropicana? It's in the bigger refrigerator. Would you fill that up for me? Thank you. Greetings, salutations, everyone. Welcome. Conversations with T. Nathan. I'm your host, T. Nathan. And I would like to remind you that this show is called Conversations with T. Nathan. And I'm going to get into that later because I've been thinking about something over the last 24 hours that I have been displeased with. So we're going to get, I know, get into. Yeah, I know you are. And if I wasn't doing the show right now, I'd come to your live. So I need you to come to my live because I'm simulcasting it on the radio. Yeah, yeah. Somebody needs to come explain what the hell is going on. Hey, I am doing good. I'm doing good. Turn the mic. Thank you. Thank you. Crumb Snatcher came through. Ah, Crumb Snatcher came through. No worries. No, I want you over here. I want you to come explain. Bring all your audience with you. I don't mind. I just need you in the box talking to me. All right. How are you holding up? I am good. I am good. I am good. How are you all doing? Um, I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about some things, and I'm trying to see if Rick's going to be able to join me. I know he's live right now. I know he's live right now, but I invited him over because I want to know what's going to update in his case. If you all know, U.S. Army overlord, last about 10 days ago, had an incident with a Karen that slapped his phone out of his hand and then tried to get some white guys to jump him. And I'm thinking, I have just got word that he has been charged with assault. So I want to get that on and get him on if he's available. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the election results from last night, past. We're going to talk about past the ones all of everybody talk about because people are trying to dismiss this, and I'm not. I want to go into some other states and some other races that the Democrats also won in, especially Mississippi, where The thing about Mississippi is that the Republican supermajority has been broken in Mississippi for the first time since 2011. Supermajority in Mississippi, there were 36. Republicans had 36 senators, and so therefore there was really nothing they couldn't do as far as voting wise. Supermajority is 35 and over. Well, last night in Mississippi, Mississippi managed to elect two Democratic senators, flipping two House seats, Senate seats. That led to the breaking of the supermajority in Mississippi in the Senate. So, what does that mean? Let's put it in perspective because Mississippi still doesn't have a a statewide elected re- Democratic office, right? The governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, all those offices are held by Republicans. Petro, are you in here? In here, I'm texting back and forth with Riggs right now. He's live, and I'm trying to see if I can get him over here. Uh, I would go over there, but don't I don't think I can yet. I don't think I can. Yeah, I'm talking to Riggs. Um, I wish I could block whole words, but this is not whole. I don't block whole words. I thought blue hearts were blocked over here. Uh, you all haven't got enough of saying blue wave yet, have you all? You all said that. I've been saying that for too long, and it means nothing. It means nothing. Some people's feelings are going to get hurt tonight because I have, and some people that I care about feelings are going to get hurt tonight. Because one thing I want to say, I've been thinking about this for the last 24 hours. This show is called Conversations with T. Nathan, not Conversations with the comment section. This is called Conversations with T. Nathan. You have questions to direct towards me, direct them to me. I will handle. I don't need anybody else from now on handling anybody who's directing questions to me. I don't need anybody else from now on handling anybody who I am having a conversation with. And we're just going to say that for this time, I will take other actions if it becomes necessary later. Um, if you want to have a conversation with me, don't come into the comment section arguing with any of the women in here. Period. Any of them. I don't wear my sleeve. I don't wear my feelings on my sleeve. I can handle anything you throw at me, and I'm never dodging a conversation on intellectual grounds because I stand on everything I say, and I am more than capable, with no help, of defending everything I say. It's not called conversation with your mama either, right? I am more than capable of defending anything I say intellectually or otherwise. Do I make myself clear? So in the future, don't anybody forget that. Whether I know your or have your phone number or not, this is not the place. This is a place where I can dissect, I can intellectually decimate anybody who wants to have a conversation with me on the issues that I talk about. I think some people forget I am not a little boy. I am a whole ass revolutionary, and I embody by any means necessary. I don't get my feelings hurt dealing with racist bigots or rocket raccoons when I can intellectually decimate them. And if I do have something I need to address, I can also beat them up or I can produce 4 pounds of pressure. But a lot of this back and forth that people want to have over hurt feelings, I am not the one. I am trying to not only deal with the person I'm talking to, I am trying to use people as examples for how they can view me in a leadership role. And if I continue to allow people to undermine that, then we're going to have problems. And I need you all to remember I am married to the movement. There is no higher purpose in my life than to liberate people of marginalized communities. And then I want to go be alone because I don't like most of you all anyway. But that's a story for another day. But are we clear moving forward that somebody in the comment section disrespects one of the queens or my aunts or my mother or my grandmother, you all handle that. Everything else, I will handle. Everything else, I got. Petra, can you go over to Riggs Live and see if he's still live? See if he's still live. Um, what you just send me. Petra, did you just send me? Let's see what you to put residents at center of what's next for Detroit. I must talk about. I'm gonna talk about. You have a glare on the screen. I have a glare. It's a bad glare. See, hold on. I think it's from these lights. I don't. Anybody know me? No, I don't. All this light in my face. I do it because, but y'all see, I'm here now. So is that better? Is that better, Petra? Okay. Well, we'll want to talk about some things. Um, if I wanted the lawyer. Where my lawyer at? Robert, you want to come up and we're gonna talk about how the ramifications, and I'm gonna talk about how I think the Democrats have a 60 to 70% chance of fucking up everything that happened yesterday. I'm gonna talk about that too. Robert, if you're in a place where you can come up, my attorney, come on up. Let's have some dialogue. Let's have some dialogue on what this means from East Coast to West Coast, right? Yeah. Come on up. Come on up, Robert. So I want to talk about the fact that we see what happened and we saw the major things. And I just told you about Mississippi and Detroit elected their first black mayor, which was off the chain. We are happy to have our first black mayor. And I got my attorney up here. What's up, Rob?
What's going on, T? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Um, what you think about last night? I know what California did. You know how I feel about jury, man. But what are your thoughts about last night professionally?
I mean, especially from California's perspective. I mean, the funniest thing was seeing all of the no. There was a huge like advertising push. This no wave,
Right.
probably I want to say like 2 to 3 days prior to the actual election on November 4th. But the thing was, the majority of us, at least for the most part, have voted. Not that there weren't long lines of polling places and nothing like that, but like
Right.
we had gotten our mail-in ballots probably 3, 4 weeks prior. Like I got mine, filled it out, I sent it in the same day. That must have been
Tell
like
her I got it.
yeah, like
Go.
the first like that first week, in October is when I
Yeah,
voted
you told
and
me.
I checked,
You
made
told
sure
me
it was
that.
there. Yeah, yeah, because it was. I'm busy keeping people out of jail. I don't got time to go down to a polling place. So if I can get that in, ASAP, I'm gonna get it in ASAP. But
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things. We a lot of people in California. We joke. They will joke about Gavin Newsom and that the only thing that he hates more than homeless people is Republicans.
And
And so yeah, they like to make their joke. Like I, being in my profession where I'm dealing with a lot of the indigent population, like I don't really mess with that kind of joke. I'm like, all right, man, y'all feel
right.
that way. I don't like that. I don't like it because I see it all the time.
Right.
But he when it comes to this, right? It's just I will say one of the few politicians who's willing to just fight fire with fire when it comes to this stuff. Like, oh, y'all want to do this? Okay,
But
bring it.
my problem with it is I want it to be. Mm, I'm still jury is still out on if it's real. My problems with Gavin Newsom is how
Of
he
course.
handles the homeless problem in California when he
Oh yeah.
has an opportunity to make a difference. And like I was telling people the other day, you all just arrested two people in your state that were taking money that was set aside to build low income housing and paying their American Express bill. So, I just think more oversight. I didn't like what he did in San Francisco. when the APAC convention was coming through, and you gave people this same thing they did in Atlanta for the Olympics when they gave people tickets and just told them to go anywhere and just get out of
Right.
there. But all that's problem. And there's other issues I have with Gavin Newsom and black and the Black Caucus about reparations also. But those are conversations for a new day. Let's. I want to focus on because I told you about Mississippi. Mississippi broke its supermajority for the first time since 2011 in the state senate yesterday. Detroit elected a black woman mayor um, for the first time. Um, of course, you see that Virginia became the third state to elect a female governor and lieutenant governor um, to elect. Now, New Jersey has a female governor and lieutenant governor, but the lieutenant
Right.
governor was appointed. She was appointed. She wasn't elected. So, but how do you see how do you see this playing out in let's deal with the shutdown in terms of the shutdown because there are two things I see in the shutdown, and the first is what happened last night. Um, that the Republicans are going to get scared
Hmm.
and probably do the worst thing that they could do, and that is um, nuclear filibuster,
Right.
which I don't care if they do because I know it'll come back to haunt them. But then Democrats are so weak. Or on Friday, the air traffic controllers, because they're out to work, airlines are going to start cutting back on 10% of flights every week until the shutdown. So now, if you remember the last shutdown, that's what ended it. When airlines start telling y'all, hey, we ain't got no air traffic controllers, so we're going to cut back on flights. But
In the middle of the holidays.
in the middle of holidays, in the middle of holidays. But do you see this as a winning opportunity anyway, at all?
I mean, the thing that bugged me the most, even though there's a lot of positives, right? There's a lot of
Hmm.
positives, and there are things that we can capitalize on. But
Okay.
it's you when you look at the demographic breakdown of who voted for who, you still have black and brown people voting for Democrats in majority, and you still had white folks voting for Republicans in the majority. They just didn't turn out as much as the black and brown people did for Democrats in this, and that
Hmm.
is a problem that is not being addressed, right? Like we will come, we know what the issue is, we know what the
Right.
systemic problems are because we live it on a day
Right.
to day, and we know what we need to do. But even in the midst of this shutdown, where the majority of we know white people, the majority beneficiaries, SNAP benefits, the majority beneficiaries,
Right.
welfare, all that stuff, and
All that.
they're feeling that they're feeling that pinch, and then still going out and voting for Republicans.
Right. But I will say I look at the demographics in the major elections in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York, and I looked at a lot of those demographics that voted for Donald Trump in the in just months ago, last year. A lot of them have I don't want to say come back home because I'm not a Democrat either,
Right.
but the same issues that he ran on, he has not done anything to address. Grocery prices are up higher this year, this time, than they were last year. This, but
No, absolutely.
I don't see the same people that were talking about. Or egg prices are low. I guess everybody was just eating eggs. This is my bad. Egg prices are lower.
We need nothing else. We just buy eggs
We just buying
by the
eggs,
bucket.
right? Everybody out here just buying eggs by the bucket. And I was like, but the prices are up. The price inflation is up. The stock market, yes, hit record highs, but another thing that
They're not helping nobody.
right, it's like not everybody has a 401k plan. And do understand the valuation of wealth when you're obsessed with wealth like this country is. Trickle
Hmm.
down theory hasn't worked since.
ever.
Ronald Reagan ever came up with it, but it's the idea that we also watching Republicans are quiet about the fact that the national debt hit $38 trillion. Is
Right, right. I heard
this is
no words about that.
no words. Mike Johnson is doing everything to avoid that question, and why he hasn't sworn in the senator from Republican, Democratic House member from
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Arizona. He's doing everything he can to avoid these questions. But I'm still saying they're happier to deal with these questions than they are to deal with, hey, where the Epstein files are. But that's
Oh,
another
right,
conversation
right.
for
That's a
another
different
day.
conversation right there.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But and I look at these, like I say, I look at Pittsburgh. They elected a Democratic mayor. Um, JD Vance's brother-in-law got his ass handed to him in Cincinnati.
Ooh, ooh,
I mean, did you see that blowout?
ooh.
77%
Yeah,
voted
I was
for the
shocked.
Muslim.
I mean, I didn't think he was. I mean, I didn't think he was going to win. I didn't think it was going to be that kind of an ass whooping.
I thought it would be close. I thought it'd be close. This is
Oh yeah.
Ohio. This is
Oh,
Ohio.
of
This is
course.
this is your
Yeah.
home. This is your home, right? And
Right.
they 77% voted for the man that has Islamic roots over
Right in Ohio.
in
No,
Ohio.
every time that kept popping up, I was like, wait, there's a mistake here because that doesn't make any sense. I'm very confused by this.
Look, that was like I expected Atlanta to reelect Andrew. I expected them to reelect Andre.
Oh yeah.
I expected that. I wasn't surprised. I was surprised about how much they elected him by. Um, Dugan, the mayor of Detroit now, is an independent, and he's running for governor. He's going to run for governor. But I don't know. I still think I have a love hate relationship with the whole idea of him, because I can't deny the things he's done to get JP Morgan Chase into Detroit to revitalize it. But I also
Hmm.
feel like this is one of the largest gentrification projects I've ever seen in my life happening in a predominant black city like Detroit. And I just feel we're going to watch it gentrified just like other cities. But I'm hoping now we got a black mayor, a woman at that. Maybe it was a big night for women. Women did their
Yes.
thing.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic, right? Like that's the way gentrification. That's
Yeah,
the way that I think about
gentrification. Yeah,
it. That's the way that I've been thinking about it. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think when whoever it was that was in here the yesterday,
uh-huh. Green.
what yeah was yeah it was
Right,
just woofing. It was
yeah,
very negative, right? And it's just like we
right.
understand that there's a this is just a starting point and there's still work to be done.
And that was my
And
point. That was what I
yeah,
wanted. That's what I was using him to prove. And
yeah,
because he was just bold enough to say what a lot of people are thinking.
right,
He was, and that was my point. I don't think people understand that sometimes with me. I am not here to change people's minds that have displayed a mindset. I'm here to address the issues which they say their mindsets are set in, to show you all how they don't make sense when you put them in the context of history, or in the context of when ignorant thoughts meet true intelligence, they fall apart.
yes,
They fall apart. And a lot of people don't realize that they harbor some of those thoughts also. Those of you all who are requesting to come, you need to let me know, or let one of my moderators know in the comment section what you want to come up and discuss, because I cuss and I'm trying not to cuss before 11 o'clock. So y'all need to let my moderators know, and they'll let me know if it's going to work. You need to let me know what you want to talk about, where you are from, and because this is a radio show and I'm the only one that's allowed to cuss, because I have to pay my own fines. Now, if you want to help me pay some fines, drop the cash app and come on up. Cuss all you want. But that's the thing that his stance rooted in the fact that are these ideologies that are rooted in magical Negro philosophies or magical brown people philosophies, because we can't deal with what isn't. We have to deal with what is. So
Yes.
it, Barack Obama's not on the ballot. Not that I can really dissect some things he's done that I found problematic. Because if you're going to go for the ACA, you might as well go for universal health care instead of universal access to insurance, and we wouldn't be here right now in this position. But
Right.
I digress. Here
No,
just to say
absolutely.
hi. I see you. I see your nephew. Say hi. So happy about the vote. Fuck Trump. You can say fuck Trump in my comment section. I don't care. Um, but I also want to say this. No, Jay. All right now. I also want to say this, right? I want to say I also want politicians that'll have a plan besides fuck Donald Trump.
Yes.
I need you to have plans. I need the people that are sitting on the side talking about they coming out for midterms. I need to know who your candidate is because y'all that's what y'all supposed to be doing right now, campaigning, right?
Yes. That's the the frustrating thing. Like during the 2024 election, I'll never forget one of the conversations I had. Like, and these are all my attorney friends, right? Like, we're working in
Right,
the public defender's office. Like, we are people who are in the trenches fighting that fight every day in and day out. And I'm encouraging, like, hey, make sure you get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, just make
right,
sure your voice is heard because it's the only way that you're able to make any noise. And one of my colleagues was, one of the folks who is from the Middle East. He's originally from Iraq, and
okay,
he has relatives and family in Palestine, and he was
okay,
really big about that. He's like, I'm not gonna vote. This is my protest against that. And I had to tell him, like, they already are planning for that. Like, that's not a protest.
right,
They are aware that people are not going to show up and vote, and all that's going to do is make those politicians cater to the people who are going to vote. Who
right,
are the people who are going to put me in a position of power, and I'm going to go talk to them, and
right.
I'm going to listen to what they have to say. You sitting at home isn't going to do anything. It
Nothing.
does nothing. So,
It,
like, what are we talking about here? And it's like, if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so damn hard to make sure that you couldn't vote.
right. We're watching the 1964, 1965 Civil Rights Act and Civil and Voting Rights
Yeah,
Act, and Arizona and Arkansas they're under attack. And we're watching the Supreme Court. We got to watch. We're gonna watch them gut it in some kind of way, shape, or form. Before we go on, I wanted to address somebody because and the comment I don't remember. I don't know if you're still here, but oh, there you go. So happy about the vote. Yes, Miss Adams. Miss Adams, I'm sorry if I misgender you, let me know. But you said I will honor November the 25th through December the 2nd. Are you talking about this fantasy idea of boycotting businesses in the United States over those what is that, 8 days? Because I have something to say about that. Because no one ever contacts me before they come up with these horrible ideas, right? Let me say something. Let's talk about how business in the United States works, right? They do quarterly reports. So if you just don't shop during those days, but you go back and you buy everything you need after those days or before those days, it's the same. It's the same. But what you do wind up hurting more because I think you all think this is like the Montgomery boycott from that lasted for 300 or 427 days, right? That made an impact because you all are trying to deal with companies that are multinational. Walmart has stores in China. McDonald's has stores in China. All these things. What you actually wind up hurting are the workers more than you hurt the company. Because if you're telegraphing this, then that means they're going to cut back on hours for people that are supposed to work. So you're not hurting the company. You're just giving them a justification to hurt the work. And also, it doesn't really make sense that people that are working that need food whether to wait for food or because stores are gonna put shit on sale during this time anyway to get people in. So you're telling them not to feed themselves. What I would like to see you all organize is instead of saying you are boycotting businesses, why don't we deal with the fact that there are 42 million people that are not getting services from the government that some of them depend and live by? Why don't you all
Yes.
ever organize anything like that? Why don't you all organize stuff to help those who we could solve homelessness? Obviously, no one's listening to me when I said if you want to join as a guest, you need to let my moderators know in the comment section. And if they think it's worthwhile, they'll let me know. Because I just saw that comment I wanted to address. But that's what I would like to see. All these people who run around here talking about we're boycotting something and you only boycott it a couple of days and then you're gonna go right back to it and purchase all the stuff you didn't get during that time period. And usually that's a privileged point. You're at a point where you can do that because you're privileged enough to have food. But what about people who don't have
Yes. That
food?
is
Text
it,
me.
these little protests, like or the little not protests, but the little boycott. It's like why why aren't you getting together in like within the community that you live in and developing these ideas on a more local level before trying to branch this thing out? Like you guys, it's like some of these folks want to do these large, we'll just put it out on the internet. We're going to do this large boycott for whatever it is, but you don't know who your neighbor is.
Right,
You have no idea who the parents of the kids that your kids go to school with. Like you don't know who any of these people are. What happens when y'all actually need to exchange things? You need help with something.
right,
Like this is your community. You work within that to come up with the plan. That's why those no kings protests, it wasn't so much okay, we're gonna have this big showing to show that
right,
the orange dude, that this is the power of how many people just hate his gut, but it's
right.
an opportunity to network and to meet people
Thank
and
you.
to be in community with these people and build these things from a grassroots perspective so that you can create more of these longer lasting boycotts. Like you mentioned, the Montgomery bus boycott. That
Right.
wasn't something that they would just like one day they're like, we're just gonna boycott buses.
We
All right, cool.
and until they either change their minds or we continue to come up with ways around it. Because that's
Right.
not what we're doing today. We
No.
listen. It's just like when we had TikTok blackouts. So we're gonna not do TikTok to for number one, there's not enough of you all to make a difference. And you're going to take the opportunity. That's like me getting mad that the CEO of Samsung comes out as a racist, right? And I say I'm just gonna throw away my phone because the owner of Samsung is a racist. Hell no.
You already gave them the money for it.
I gave not only give them the money, I'm still paying on it, and plus it's still the tool that we can use to accomplish what we need to accomplish. I just get
Right.
tired of people with these ideas that don't stand historical analysis, but they don't ever talk to anybody with a historical analysis breakdown. For somebody arbitrarily just talk about, and I got on the NAACP. If you know, I'm a member of the NAACP, National Enlargement. And I remember we were talking about boycotting Missouri, the whole state. And I was like, y'all call for a travel ban against Missouri. Like black people don't have family and friends in Missouri that they want to visit. And they have to visit. I say it's one
Right.
thing. Missouri, listen, we have known that places are unsafe for us to visit ever since the first edition of the Green Book.
Hmm.
That's what be getting me when people act shocked that states that like Missouri or uh, had sundown towns, sundown counties. Act like we just knew this. And that's what be getting me sometimes. Y'all just act like you all just got to know that they're racist in this. Every time something racist happens, people running around like they shocked. Like, when did you all not learn these lessons? But it's still how we have to navigate it. Now, if we're going to navigate it like TNathan wants to navigate it, and you all want to mount up with me and go bust them in the face, that's one thing. But most of y'all don't want that. You all just want to talk about something that, in essence, is not addressing the issue. And don't tell me about capitalism because people think system is just capitalistic. No, it's capitalism married to democracy. And
Yes.
therein lies the problem because the laws are wedded to capitalism. So when you try to do things like unplanned, it's like hypothetically speaking, hypothetically, is this the right language I'm supposed to use, lawyer? Hypothetically speaking, let's say I was protesting in Minnesota during the George Floyd riots, right? Let's say I was protesting that. This is all hypothetical. And hypothetically, maybe Target was caught on fire. Maybe Target caught on fire, hypothetically. Do you see the difference in them having to deal with something like that and them having to deal with people just talking about protesting them?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking, that is a major difference. That's a major
Yes.
difference in just talking about boycotting a company that, number one, you all act like you all won the last election. Like, you're when racists and bigots hear you all are boycotting something, guess what they're going to support?
Right. Exactly what they've been doing. They've been doing. That's why these companies
What's
have
up,
been trying to
AC?
cater to them.
Right.
It's like,
And
all right,
why?
I mean, if you're not gonna give us the money, we're just gonna go get the money anyway.
Oh, we listen. Are we going to just say, hey, government, you know, we need some of that taxpayers' money. People talk about $36 a month that they're paying that helps people on SNAP benefits and the social welfare programs in this country, but $600 a year. I mean, 36 dollars a year out of their taxes going towards the safety net program, but $600 of their money goes towards corporate welfare. And people out here talking about they don't care about SNAP benefits. But where's that same energy for not caring about corporate welfare? Because they're not missing a beat right now.
Not missing anything.
Not
Not
missing a
missing
beat.
anything. Then it's the one of the it and I think you would get into it, or maybe like kind of just brushed on a little bit. One of the things that it frustrates me the most, that we never want to get to the root cause of any of these issues, right? Like we think about things very much from a surface, from a reactive perspective versus a
Right.
proactive, versus a what this is the root cause. And it's one of the things that frustrates me about working in my profession, where I'm dealing with folks who they're sure they're caught with possession charges, things of that nature. It's like, okay, but why? Oh, because they're unhoused. Okay,
Right.
so why are they unhoused? Okay, well,
Right.
because they can't find work. Okay, well, why can't they find work? They
Right.
got disabilities or whatever the case. Okay, how do we help them with that?
The
And one of the
why.
ooh, right, we never continue to ask the why
Right.
question. And that's what with last year's election in California, they passed Prop 36,
36.
right? And
Yeah.
Prop 36. What people looked at that as, oh, what they're doing is, if you have multiple, prior possession or petty theft charges, you're going to, it'll be a felony after you get your second one, right? Your
Right.
prior. Well, no, what they also did was remove funding from all of these programs
Right.
that were designed to help people if they got arrested for these charges. So they took money out of mental health programs, of drug rehabilitation programs, of any of these social programs, and basically said, we're going to give this money to district attorney's office. We'll give this money to police officers to fight crime, but again, in a
Mhm.
reactive position versus a proactive
Proactive.
position.
Right.
And it's killing. So what I'll tell you is the funniest thing that we've been doing at my office. Anytime we get these possession charges, anytime we get these petty theft charges, we're basically telling the prosecutors, unless we're going to do diversion, in which the client gets the opportunity to have the case dismissed,
Hmm.
run it. We going to trial. They
Right.
ain't got enough courtrooms. They ain't got enough DAs. They ain't got enough resources to try all these cases. So we like,
Right.
just run it.
Just run it.
Just let's
and,
do
and,
it
and that's
because the worst thing that can happen is okay, they're in the same spot. If they're convicted, they get the same thing whether they take the plea or not. Nah, man, we
exactly.
running this trial. Let's do it. I don't care how bad the case is.
Exactly. Because that's always we always hear public defenders are overrun. Well, the DA is overrun. Y'all need to learn how to take advantage
Hmm?
of that also.
Oh
We
yeah,
need to learn how
we
to take
run
advantage.
it.
I have never taken a deal. Listen, I I have never taken a deal, a pretrial deal, because I understood that it'll cost you more money to take me to trial. Because I'm gonna call with listen, I was telling I had witnesses lined up. The two chat questions you're gonna ask them. I got 14 of them lined up. What y'all gonna do? This is what y'all want to do? This is witness list. I say, listen, get Mr. Fairley out of here. Get Mr. Fairley. Tell the governor was so happy I left the state. He didn't know what to do. But this is the thing, right? And that's because I hate to say it in that manner, because you have to learn the system from that angle, and not
Right.
everybody should have to learn the system from that angle. Not
No, you're
everybody
right.
should, right? But
No, you're right.
to get to the fact, like you say, hey, hey, the system is run by mediocre white men. They're not hiding. I need y'all to stop with all the conspiracy theories because y'all sound just like the of the extreme right who start conspiracy theories. The problems in this country are rooted in mediocre white men and racism and bigotry and misogyny and menage a noir. And
Yep.
they don't even have to get together to do it. That's who they are. It's like all these billionaires that are donating money to this ballroom. It's not a conspiracy. They realize that they want things accomplished, and they can get these things accomplished by donating $25 million, and they're going to stand to make $25 billion. So it's not a conspiracy. Greed is a motivating factor and a locking in factor. It works hand in hand. That's why I want to show y'all the movie Leave the World Behind, because one of the most impactful things in that movie says even these people don't know what's going to happen. They just know something is going to happen, and they know that their wealth will put them in a better position to deal with. Because there is no nuclear survivability if South Korea, North Korea develops a delivery system for an ICBM. I hate to break it to y'all. I know y'all hate it. Y'all think y'all government's gonna come up with something that's gonna shoot it down, but yeah, that's decades off. Ronald Reagan tricked Russia into believing that in the '80s, and we still haven't got any close to it yet. So I understand it's if you deal with the fact, then you can have a cohesive plan. Telling me that they're little gray men that came from outer space and they're shapeshifters and they infiltrated our government. I can't win against that anyway. So why would I care? Told y'all. If aliens are visiting the planet, then I have bigger issues than dealing with them right now. Because mediocre white men are still trying to kill me. So
Right.
just want to
Right.
put
These
that
bills
out
still
there.
here. These bills still here.
They listen. Are these aliens taking all these anal probes they did, and they taking nobody's bills? Look,
Shoot.
they out here violating people and not even paying them meat
Right.
prices. Oh no,
Right.
listen, uh-uh. I'm sorry, it doesn't even. And I laugh at y'all. People get mad that I laugh at them when they bring this up. I laugh at you all because none of that in the morning when I'm at going to the shelter to feed those who happen to be hungry, giving out more than double the amount we usually give out to people who are experiencing food insecurity. This is one alien ever going to cross my mind.
Never.
Not one. Because these people still don't eat. So this is not. I know y'all used to it, but there's so much this is not the place for. That I know people like experience because y'all used to going in people's lives and getting on the panel and having these NA discussions. This is not the place. Follow me or not. I tell you, I don't do this because I need validation. But I do this because it's what we need to be doing. I don't need validation. Trust me. Okay? So y'all good? Now can we wanna get back on topic? Now let's look at I made a list, right? Because I was looking at you know how I feel about gerrymandering. I keep telling people. But I want this same energy. Listen up, y'all. I want the same energy the next time Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, or Georgia is going to the Supreme Court because we go every 2 years because they're jury. And you can best believe I mentioned the opening about Mississippi losing its supermajority in the Republican Party. You know what they're planning right now? The day after they lost their supermajority, they're planning on gerrymandering Mississippi to get it back. That's what Republicans shit they bricks last night when they found out they had lost their supermajority. They're planning. And let me tell you something about gerrymandering in the South. They said when they go to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court sets it aside, yeah, after the election, they don't throw anybody out of office. Mississippi does this every 2 to 3 years. They gerrymander the state. So now I know you all can get together and you all can have get states like California and others to re-gerrymander to balance it on a national scale. I want that same money to pour into Mississippi when we're fighting against gerrymandering. I want Barack Obama on the I want him on the campaign trail in Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana and raising money to help fight against gerrymandering in the state. Yeah, I said what I said. I said what I said. That's why I told you. I don't believe I, gerrymandering. I'm just tolerating it because y'all need it. But at the end of the day, if it was wrong during the civil rights movement and it was wrong when it was used to disenfranchise black people, then it's still wrong. But it's just a tool that y'all have to use. But I'm saying I'm only giving my consent because I want you all to turn out and turn up when we're doing it and fighting against it in the South. I want y'all to turn out and turn up. I don't understand why California is only doing 5 seats and not 7 or 10. Me neither. I think y'all should aim for 10. If you're gonna do it, I think y'all should aim for 10. Y'all should
I feel like they're just doing it halfway. Like, what are we doing this
right.
halfway
We
thing
did
for?
all
Just
this
go
for
all
half.
in.
Right. I'm out here having to swallow this bullshit, and y'all only going halfway.
I mean, we got the
Y'all
most
should
seats. Let's just get them
get them
all
all.
the one way. Yeah, just get them
Get them
all.
all. I made some notes because I was making some notes. So I looked at because people were asking me what I think. So Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina. So they're going to gerrymander the state. Ohio is in the process of thinking about it, but I said that it will backfire on Ohio, just like it did in Utah when the judge came in and Utah. You know what? Utah been on some bullshit. Like Utah been on some bullshit. Speaking of homeless and law with innocent, Utah is building concentration camps for those who have to be homeless, and they're telling people that they have to go to them or they go to jail. They're making it part of
Kills
plea
me.
agreements. They're making it part of plea agreements because they assume that everybody is homeless has a drug offense. So
That
uh,
is.
take a look at what they're doing in Utah. And it's like, and Trump is touting it like it was his idea. And I also tell people, Utah wanted to do this in 2017 also. Like I said, I
You're
keep
just
hoping.
not looking at the actual problems. Like, why are
They don't
they really there?
listen.
But they don't care. Like, they
Right,
just don't care. They just don't care. They're like, all right, y'all need to get up out of here. We can't have you. We can't see you out here because it shatters the whole facade of what capitalism is supposed to be. We're
right,
not supposed to have any of this. So guess what? We just gonna throw you all in these centers,
right.
and just
We're gonna blame it on drug
good
use.
luck.
We're gonna blame
Right,
it on drug
right,
use. We're gonna say, hey, you're homeless because you're a drug user. And it means that I see more drug users that are not homeless than I ever see that are homeless. But I
right,
digress. I digress.
right.
And I also know by being in the game that the largest pharmaceutical distributor in the world are pharmaceutical companies. They'll create more addicts than street drugs ever did. But go off. But and that's what's so insidious about the system. Here we tried to buy a hotel, old rundown hotel, and we were going to buy it and we were going to renovate it and we were going to make it temporary housing for those who have to be homeless, transitional housing. It's not even. It was transitional housing until we found places for people to go to, and we were going to have um, permanent housing for those who have to be homeless that will be working with the program that were on, security cleaning up and all that. That we were going to let stay there and do that when we were not on site, right? I live in the richest county in Kansas. You know those people who do a head gasket? They would rather have. We had public hearings on it, and I had to field questions like, "Why do the homeless get a pool and we don't?" I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And they thought we were building a pool. The hotel didn't have a pool originally.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. Like, is this was just an old hotel that just happened to have a pool in it?
Right. This is the Laquita Inn. They didn't have pools
Oh no!
anywhere. Right. But then they say, they always were telling us, well, we need y'all to do something about homeless. Oh, okay, we'll do something about it. But they mean we want you to do something about it, but we don't want it in our neighborhood.
Right.
They don't. And then the other guy who did say, okay, well, can y'all put a barbed wire fence around it? I'm like, well, what?
What am I doing that for? Okay. Okay.
Uh, What? It's like, yeah, I might need to put a barbed wire fence around it to protect them from you all because you all are the threat.
Right.
Violence against homeless people is perpetrated by those who have homes.
Right. Right. Right.
Listen, you're not getting more crime from homeless people. This is like when I tip the people about immigrants. I was like, you all are out here thinking that immigrants are just plotting to do all this crime, but they have the less of a crime rate than native born Americans against each other. That we all want to sensationalize one crime and make it look like everybody is doing it that is black and brown. You know, Scott Peterson didn't kill his wife.
Mm. Literally, the only when I'm in court for arraignments, it's always misdemeanors that I have homeless people coming in for. It's always misdemeanors, and it is literally the same thing every time.
Right,
It's either possession or they violated an ordinance that says that they can't be in this area after a
right,
certain time frame. That's it. That's literally it. That's all I ever see coming in. And then, when I'm talking to them about it, and it's like, well, yeah, I've been homeless, for 7, 8 years. Like I had this, I had a business. I was,
right, right,
working. I was doing whatever, and then I got hurt, and then I couldn't, work, and then in order to get through that pain, I started taking this, and then I ended up on the street, and they caught me with. Some crystal, or they caught me with this. It's always the
right,
same stuff all the time. And it's like, all right, well, let's find you some help. And like I said, there are programs that are available to help, but California voters, because like you said, these NIMBYs, they don't want it around them. They're like, all
right.
right, we don't want to have this stuff in our yard. We don't want to have this stuff in our area. Gets defunded, and now these folks don't have anywhere to go, and they don't have any way of getting better.
Right. And that's part of the problem because you say usually people stop asking why questions when they get to the self fulfilling bias they have, and
Yes.
that's where they want to get. Because just like you mentioned, most of the you don't know how many homeless vets I have. How many homeless vets that can't get treatment for their post traumatic stress syndrome? Or how
Hmm.
many people that their wife or loved one died from cancer that they used all their savings to fight, and then
Yes.
they're getting thrown out of their home because they went through with a capitalist society that doesn't believe in safety foundations. They only believe in safety nets. And once they, and I had this guy that I used to play chess with, and he's a professor. He was an actual professor, and he was telling me about how once he started to fall financially, how many people he realized were not his. After his wife
Hmm.
died, he had used his savings and took time off. You don't want your wife dying alone. I mean, this couple have been together for 35, 40 years when she died of cancer. And he wasn't going to leave her alone. But it also goes to show you, it's like that idealism of wealth. is superimposed in people's mind who are not wealthy. I be breaking it down to people. I was like, I feel what Cardi B was saying, right? I was like, I made my money by performing. And you might not agree with it, but this couple of $1 million I got ain't wealth. That's
Right.
not wealth in the greater scheme. And that's what I feel about. I want to tell bourgeoisie black people that are in the in the lower upper class, y'all are not
Hmm.
y'all not on the same level. You're not on the same level. You think because you got $5, $6 million that you are balling. I've seen people go through $5, $6 million in health care, medical bills within a year, fighting for their life. And you think you onto something because as soon as you start to slide, everybody else that you thought were your friends are not going to be there. It's
It's a
proven.
shame. Yeah.
It's proven. And that's why I tell them. It's like, this is why I say it's not enough to just think of fixing a system that isn't broken. The system is not broken. I keep telling people we're operating in a system that is working exactly the way it's designed, and sometimes we're just trying to navigate. But it requires revolution is going to require breaking a system in order to build something that works equitably for all. And the system has like little white blood cells that are fighting against that very thing. 2 minute warning. All right, got 2 more minutes on GCPR. Then I'm gonna have to let you go because I'm getting direct messages now. I'm getting
I was
direct
gonna say that
messages now.
when you're talking about, breaking the system, right? Like that can come in different forms. Like I think when people hear breaking the system, right, they're thinking broadly of like a complete tear
Mhm.
down, right? And
Right,
breaking the system can be just something as simple as like we were just talking about. If you were arrested and charged with a crime, run it to trial.
right.
F a plea deal, let's run it and
Yeah, the
have
plea deal
everybody run it.
is the system. The plea
Right.
deal
Have
is
them
the
run it.
system. If you and it's and that's, I think people don't understand that it's everything collectively. I say, and not any one thing. I say either. It's like we need people breaking the system on a medical level. We need them breaking it on the legal level. We need
Hmm.
them breaking it on the political level, and we need to have. But we also have vision because that's one of the things. My problems with the civil rights movement. I tell them people get mad at me when I say, no, the civil rights movement was a failure because you had no plan after integration. And integration shouldn't have been a plan anyway. It shouldn't.
I
State
tell people
sponsored.
this about, ooh, you don't you about to get me on one of my biggest pet peeves, and
Okay,
that is
well,
Brown versus, yeah.
hold on
Go.
before you
No,
get on
I
your
will.
pet
I will.
peeve. Hold that thought. GCPR. Thank you all for joining me tonight. And we're probably gonna start cussing now. So if you want to hear us cuss, you need to come over. If you got a VPN to reach me in this country, I'll be on my TikTok and I'm on my YouTube. Right. So if you want to hear me cuss, I can cuss as soon as I get off the radio. But I'll be here the same Black Panther time, same Wakanda station tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central Standard. And we're out of here. Y'all have a great night. All right, now let's get it.
I tell people this all the time, and the way that I say it is just so that I can get people to think about it. But Brown versus Board of Education was a mistake, and people don't understand why it was a mistake
And I'm in
because the
Topeka.
way,
I'm in
ooh,
Kansas. I'm in Kansas.
man, that case, it frustrates me to no end because all of that buildup from the early 20s when black people were getting into law schools, were doing all these
Right.
things. We get to, and they're getting denied this, but then the schools that are in the public sphere, the public education that you're seeing, the difference between white schools and black schools, it was funds, it was money, it was investments, it was the wealth that we talked about. And so we get to Brown versus Board of Education, and that white, the mediocrity of these white folks sitting on this jury go, are sitting in the Supreme Court go, you know what?
Unanimously.
We
Yeah.
think the best way to do this is not to have more money go that way. It's for y'all to come over this way. And we're not going to tell you how to do it. Just figure it out.
Listen, Brown versus Board of Education was ruled on in May of 1954, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1954. And understand that schools in Mississippi were still segregated
Right,
until the 1970s. You
right,
had almost a
right.
20-year span after this school, unanimous decision, and, and that's what you say. And I say, I grew up going to a school that was originally best black school in Mississippi. Right? That's what it was. Fannie Mae Nichols. I don't know if you know Fannie Mae Nichols, but look her up. She's taught there. She was my God. It was like it was peak. It was just like Alcorn and all these black institutions that we formed in the face of us not being allowed in PWIs or
Mm-hmm.
governors sitting on the porch talking about you will get over my dead body. I was like,
Right.
that's where I needed to be. The year I was born, I need somebody needs to give me a shot, and I can show him that education and Brown versus Board of Education. I tell people this all the time, and not taking anything away from Thurgood Marshall in the argument, right? But the idea was this falls into my same argument. But there was no plan after the civil rights
Yes.
movement, after integration. There was
It
no,
was nothing.
it was nothing. It was like we went into this. Yes, state-sponsored segregation is wrong. Don't get me wrong. State-sponsored segregation is wrong. But I have a book over here because I know why all the black kids sit together in the cafeteria too. I haven't written them for anybody. But it's the idea that we believed that in May of 1954, after the Supreme Court decisions, that magically the school systems were going to be so accepting and integrating. And then we get to
Right.
Arkansas. Then we get to Arkansas.
Right.
Then we get to
Like
Arkansas.
what? Like they lost. They just religious. Look, you lost your mind.
Right.
You think like these folks really did not like the Supreme Court justice. And the thing is, they waited. Like they initially wanted to hear this case in '53, but they weren't
Waiting.
going to have a unanimous decision. They were like,
Right.
we need to wait to be able to have this unanimous decision because if we don't have a unanimous decision, then there's
Man.
going to be issues. But it's like you were thinking about it from a pure optics perspective
Optics.
and not a how do we make sure, like you said, we need to have a plan, we need to have something in
Right.
place, this is how this needs to work. And what did we end up with? Black people at the time were some had some of the largest numbers when it came to being educators, principals, superintendents.
Because we
And
had our own
Brown comes,
schools.
we had our own stuff. And
Yeah.
Brown comes in and that number plummeted and it never recovered.
Never
It
recovered.
never recovered.
Because
And
that's the difference.
we never had a plan.
And that's the difference. I tell people that's the difference. And I think it's people. I came up in a time where people who look like me were teaching. You understand?
Yes.
I came up at a time when I saw my mother in Miss Beck. You understand? Because also, if
Hmm.
Miss Beck said I got down wrong, I would see a lot more of my mother than Miss Beck. But anyway, but it was the idea that it was not condescending. I remember again when we got to segregation, we first started busing, and I was like, yeah, if my mother and father said we let him stay in school, he gonna beat up every one of them mediocre white boys. When we bust the Fernwood, it was like they wanted to tell us what, and I'm the darkest thing in here, so it's like they wanted to tell us how it's gonna be. I proceeded to put his head in a locker, and my parents said, it's not gonna work for him because they're going to say something. See,
Hmm.
I wasn't in the um Arkansas 9 category. No, no, no. I was in the I will knock you out category, right?
Hmm.
So, and then when you go to other schools, it's like, okay, it's not a point where we have to be educated. It's like most of y'all are behind us anyway because we went to a school the teachers had to teach outside the book because they couldn't
Right.
depend on the state to get the book. So we're reading the Great Gatsby, and we don't have time to read it, at a leisurely pace. We got to read it so we can pass it on. So by the end of the
To,
school semester, everybody has read it and got our book reports done.
right,
There's only so
right,
many copies of the book. So that's why I read voraciously and so fast now. We didn't, they didn't slip on our education. They just came up with creative ways to keep us engaged because that was the
right,
system they operated in. So, like you say, when we get to the fact that integration and busing started because of this decision, I think so aware that I'm in Kansas now. Yeah, we're going through busing in the 70s in Mississippi because of Brown versus the Board of Education. And we see the fallout. The
yeah,
fallout is that it was never about making our schools better. It was
no,
about removing everything that was good about our schools and dropping us down in a foreign land and then giving us standardized tests that were geared toward their knowledge of pop culture and these things. And then say
right,
we were not smart enough to take the standardized tests. No, we just didn't care about the shit you all were talking about. We knew you all just thought you all knew history about the Civil War. You all want to focus more on the picnic that was occurring, and we knew what a picnic was, and we were not interested in the picnic. We were interested in the fact that even after the Civil War, we went right into Jim Crow.
yep,
Yeah, that's what we knew. We knew that from personal experience. I was born in 1967. The last year that is, now I also say this: Jim Crow didn't die; he just changed his clothes. But the last
100%.
year, the year after I was born, Jim Crow is officially said to be dead. Like people, you can't. I'm not talking about things that happened hundreds of years before I was born. I'm talking about things that happened in my lifetime, my grandmother's lifetime, my mother's lifetime. Right? I feel James Baldwin. He said, "How long must we wait?" He's waited all.
Right,
We waited all these lifetimes, and I try to explain this about the civil rights movement, about Jim Crow, about Brown versus Board of Education. And black people look at me like I'm crazy because they have allowed a whitewashed education system to tell them these were the greatest things for black people to ever come along.
yes, I that the same when I was in grade school. It was literally the same thing that happened to me. It wasn't until I went to the University of Maryland. I was at College Park. I
Hmm.
was studying African American history. I will never forget the it was a little bit of the shame. Actually, it was mostly shame that I felt
Hmm.
when I'm in a class. It was a white woman teaching it, and she said, "Oh, we're about to learn about the Watts riots." Oh, Rob, you from Southern California? You know about that? And I'm sitting there looking like I've never heard anything about this. What are you talking about? And that was that's that grade school education.
Right,
Even here in California, where you got all that, I
right,
learned none of that in grade school, not a thing. And
right,
so I'm like, I need to read up everything about this for before I get into this class. I know she's gonna ask me, this question, thinking, I grew up there. I should have, I'm
right.
in the
But
center
it's
of it.
an
I should have learned
assumption.
that.
It's an
It is
assumption also rooted in that you're black.
100%, 100%. And
It's
I was
a
just like, what is happening? And it goes to the that
really
same.
AC. Really? It's still not.
No, it's still not. No, it's
You
still not.
mean
Like there are things. So my kids are 7,
right?
and they're in school now, and the school is incredibly diverse, but
Okay.
doesn't mean that they're getting the
A
same
diverse
level,
education.
right? That
Right.
diverse education, right? And they're not getting the history that you know that I even lacked getting, and then had to learn, on my own, or
Right.
reach out to my dad's side of the family and get that. And so, I read them like I read them books from what's it, Michael Harriot's book, like Black AF History. Yeah,
Black ass
yeah.
history. Yeah.
Yeah. I read them that because it's like it's it's taught or it's talked about in a way that I feel is a little bit more appropriate for like my kids at 7 years old. Like we're not getting into the depths of things. There we go. Like I need some right. I need some stuff like that. There you go.
All right.
Yeah, like
I'm, I'm a,
that's what I need.
I will text you a list because I don't just have these are books that I also recommend just for those things, right? But we can talk to
Oh
see.
no, I got hair love. I got
You
hair
got
love
hair
because
love? Oh,
yeah
good.
yeah I got hair love.
Yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
got
no,
hair
I definitely
love.
got that one.
Then we got, uh, these and these are books like like why am I to answer questions that
Yeah.
we need to answer. And you know me, I'm big on education. I'm
Oh
big
yeah.
on education, but I'm big on specific education. I'm big on specific education as it applies through history of who we are and how we got here. But
Yes.
also, I deal with books like this because we have to help our children navigate the reality of where we are and not this idealism that people talk about like we live in a utopia. We don't.
Yes.
We
We
don't live
don't.
in a utopia. We live in a
We don't.
society where we have to have a crown act to wear our hair the way it naturally grows.
Right.
And, and I think, and going back to, and that's where I say I know I'm privileged, I'm fortunate, because my grandmother graduated from Alcorn, and she was an educator. My mother was an educator, and, and my father gave me everything else, physical form and the ability to knock people out and go all day long. That's what I got. That it works out great. I'm 58, right? I'm 58. So it works out great, right? But at the end of the day, it is I was just like I was telling Green the other day, there's some things that is our responsibility as parents to
Yes.
teach our children.
Hmm.
Because as someone who also does education on the other side, um, I don't have, and let me tell you, these immigrant children, I don't have to teach them respect and manners. They learned it at home.
Right.
I don't have to teach them respect for what's going on, because their parents took it on themselves to teach them. And I think a lot of problems with American schools and American environment is we expect teachers to be responsible for raising our children.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that's wrong. That's a recipe for disaster because you got 54 students in a class. You ain't got time to be raising a disruptive student.
No.
You don't.
Especially if they're coming from that's why them being fed is so important, right? Especially if they're in an environment where they're struggling to get a meal, right? Like
Right.
one of the things I talk one thing I talk about that I'm so fortunate to be in California where they cover breakfast and lunch, right? So like my kids,
Yeah,
we
because
get them to
you
school
you're
early
the
enough.
you're the birthplace of that idea.
Like we get the
The Panthers.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly
The
we
Panthers
get so
birthed that idea. Yeah.
they get that, and then if it's oh well the kids are so well behaved, it couldn't be that they're not sitting there with stomachs growling and then they're trying to sit there and
Right.
listen to and learn stuff and sit in a single place for hours upon hours on end with nothing in their stomach. It couldn't be that finally they got something and now they're able to focus because they got nutrition and the energy to be
Right.
able to do that, right? Nah, it's not that. It's got to be something else that's going on, of
It,
course.
it can't be. It can't be that. It
It
can't
can't
be
be
that.
that. It can't be that.
When did we ever figure out that children need to eat to learn?
Shoot.
Where did we come up with that idea, America, that maybe we should provide meals for children and free lunches for children? Where did we ever? I wonder where did we ever steal that out? Oh, this is Huey Newton's revolutionary suicide, by the way, Black Panther. But I digress. Move right along. Um, and that's it. This is the history that
Yeah.
is working history that we talk to. Because sometimes we have to remind our children that you're not nothing. Because if this society would tell you you're scum, you're nothing, because you don't have lighter skin, it will tell
Right.
you that because you don't have a certain economic lifestyle. And that's why we need to tell you that, and that's why I always over exaggerate the fact that you do understand that we were enslaved and not slaves.
Right.
You do understand we come from the continent that this guy was talking about. Well, if it wasn't for colonization, you wouldn't have guys live in a city with skyscrapers and all that. I say we built the largest standing structures on the planet thousands of years before we met you. I know y'all don't like to acknowledge it, but Egypt is in Africa, and I don't even have to go there. I can go all up and down the Nile River Valley to the Kushites, and the Nubians, and all these other societies that building a building. The indigenous people of this country built buildings that were taller than y'all's. You all came in and
Right.
thought you were doing something. But that's why it's important to teach history, because Carter G. Woodson teaches us. If you don't know your history, then anybody can lead you anywhere because you think you're not from somewhere. And
Exactly.
we have to do that. And that's why I tell you, I'm never afraid of anyone, because the pseudo intellect that we run into on social media is in itself astounding. We got people that vacillate between believing the world is flat to the transatlantic slave trade didn't exist. You know,
No, that nonsense blowing my mind.
right?
Like, yeah, and it really, it's that. It's so funny you say that, right? Because I know it's easy to. I mean, it's easy to try again, pinpoint one thing or look at one thing, but the whole idea of stuff like what people love to say, it's not that deep. No, motherfucker, it's always
It's
that deep.
always that deep,
Stop saying that, man. Like
right?
if I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, hey, man, that the stuff that I'm kind of getting here, just think about, yeah, that there's some racism and some misogyny. Oh, it ain't that. No, no, it
It
is.
is that
It,
deep.
it is. I'm feeling that, and this is why. Let's talk about this, and so that you can understand it, and that we don't have to go through this again. And then it's that, like you said, that pseudo intellectualism that comes through, because we can just kind of talk into these phones and these slabs, and not have somebody there to punch us in the mouth if we say
Right,
something stupid.
right. I think that is, or else, like my grandmother used to do, make you feel so bad about being stupid that you be like, yo, no, can't do that, can't make that mistake, you can't. But we don't. We have people that are a lot. That's why I tell people there are consequences, and I always teach words have power. And because when people say,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, I was just wrong," it's not that deep. No, it was you have been wrong. You have built your life on being wrong. You have
Yes.
taught wrong, and that has a consequences. And just because you say, "Oh, I was wrong," but it's not that deep, it is. It is. That's like I don't give passes to Candace Owens or any of, or in your case, Elder Larry Elders out there. I don't give
Oh,
any
nah,
passing to
hell
them
no,
because
absolutely not.
they choose. I keep telling people, they be like, "Oh, this," they just don't. No, they choose to be who they are. Racism, bigotry, rocket raccoonery in 2025. I'm not talking about implicit biases. I'm talking about the
Right, right.
choices they're making to literally say each one of these little rocky raccoons on TikTok that just embrace sucking the blizzy of white supremacy, you choose to do that.
You got the world's repository of information right at your fingertips. It is very
Right.
easy for you to sit here and understand why the thing that you said, or the things that you were promoting, or whatever it is harmful. It is very easy for you to look and see this is the issue.
But
This
they
is why this
don't
is wrong.
want to.
But
They
they
don't
don't
want
want
to
to.
because
Hmm.
they believe proximity to whiteness will make them better than it. It's all rooted in self-hate. When you deal with people
Yes.
like that, it is rooted in self-hate. And I hate to break it to you all, but I don't care. They get the same thing the enemy get because they have chosen to cast their lot in with the oppressor, believing that a couple more crumbs is worth it. Yeah, and I don't care. If I call Candace Owens a bed wench, y'all just fight me over it. If I call her a bed wench of white supremacy and you don't like that, fight, fight. That doesn't mean I'm
Uh,
gonna let her be killed because she's black. But my grandmother always taught me it's our responsibility to take our trash out. I don't let nobody in our communities take our trash out. That's our job. So don't get any ideas. Because once you let people in to take your trash out, you're gonna look up and those same people are gonna be walking out with something valuable. because they thought it was trash.
Right.
We can't allow that. No, we cannot. Oh man, Robert, great conversation. I know you. Oh no, you're in California. It's
Yeah, I'm in
only like
California, man.
it's
Like
only
I
like
just, I just,
9:21. You got
it
about
is, it
nine
is,
twenty
it is, it
one.
is, it is a fresh 9:30. I'm probably gonna
Yeah,
get myself some dinner real quick and then go to because I get up at 4. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning
me too.
to get to work and because I like for me I like to make sure that I'm prepared for the entire day
Right,
so that I can leave early. I don't like to be there any longer than I have to. So if I can
and
get
you got
everything knocked
traffic.
out of court.
You got traffic.
Well, you know what's funny? Like in where I am, I take public transportation and it's great. Like I hop on the trolley,
Oh,
I can get
okay.
wherever I need to go. So I don't drive anywhere around my city, man.
Well, I don't drive. Period. So we're in the same boat.
There you
I,
go.
yeah, I get up and get up, get at the gym at 4:30, workout because I can't work out later in the day because I'll be like on too much other bullshit. So I have to get up early and work out. And then you get to then I now since I'm not getting paid, I only go to work to feed those who have been homeless. I just pile the paperwork up. I say I'm not doing it, so y'all cut a check. So they don't have any numbers idea because it's like I'm still trying to figure out why we're not getting paid. But it is what it is. But we're still feeding those who have been homeless. But I do have other time to read. I have more time to read since I read in the Uber wherever I'm going. I always read in the Uber back and forth
I
because
love that. I love that.
that's
I
how I
want that
get.
list of books, man. Text me that list of books.
I
I
will
want
text.
that.
I will text the list of books, and I will do. I didn't know you all didn't have some children books. My bad. Yeah, I have children books because I have children. So I will share with you some of the children books I do. I will make a video. I think I did make a. Don, didn't I make a video on my children books once before? If not, I'll
I feel like I've seen a couple of the videos where you might have had a couple of the books, but
yeah.
you brought up a big stack. Like I've seen like three or like I've seen and
Yeah,
I know I got a couple of those. That was a stack. I don't have all of those, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
need those.
Like, yeah, that's one thing you can count on me. If there's a book for that, and then we also have to understand. I say this because I meet some people. They just read, they read the cliff notes of books that I read, and I can tell they only read the cliff notes. It's like The Great Gatsby. I was talking about The Great Gatsby because Donald Trump did a theme party on it, and I was talking about
That's right.
how
That man. Yeah.
inappropriate it was, but on brand to do a Great Gatsby party in the midst of a government shutdown and not paying people SNAP benefits. I say it fits. It
Right.
fits. And the guy was like, he tried to, I was like, number one, he said, what do you know about the Great Gatsby? I said, number one, I know it was written in 1925 by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And, Daisy killed, and he was like, yeah, you all think that only white people read this book.
You're like yeah.
Y'all don't read the books you all say y'all read. Do you understand?
Right.
And y'all have not even read. Y'all always talk about the Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck. I bet you've never read the Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck. And it's so funny when you walk into these rooms and they talk, they doing this and you break something down and then they like, oh, I didn't get. What do you mean you didn't get that far?
Right.
you
Right.
you're sitting here talking about the book like you know what you're talking about, but you don't even know who Daisy or Jack was. And I'm not talking about the Titanic.
No. No. No, I want one. I know that we had talked. It was very briefly though about maybe doing something where, we could talk about people and
Know your
what they
rights.
should do. Yeah,
Yeah.
knowing your rights if they interact with police and things like that. I'm still
Okay.
down to do something like that because like I said, I talk to people about this all the time. Matter of fact, I just had a client today where, or not today, but this week, where he was stopped by police, for riding. He was riding his bike the wrong way on the highway. He gets stopped for riding his bike. The officers, ask for his ID. Again, he's riding a bike. He's not riding a motor vehicle, so not like they
Right.
needed to ask for his ID, but they asked for it. He gave it to him. Right? They have him sitting down. He's no threat to anybody. And then they just decide, well, you're wearing a blue Orioles hoodie, and that's representative of a gang. We're gonna go ahead and pat you down.
Right.
So they go ahead and they pat him down. They pat him. Then when they're patting him down, they're doing a whole lot of manipulation. Not allowed to do that. They squeeze in hit my man's pocket. Not allowed to do that. They see that he's got a pipe in him, so they arrest him for possession because they, search him after arresting him for the paraphernalia. They search him. I get the case and I'm like, oh yeah, no, we don't like any of this. Let me go ahead and file the suppression motion. So I
Right.
file this motion. I'm waiting to hear the response because I'm prepped. I'm ready. I've already researched the law. I got stuff ready to go.
Mhm.
I get an email from the DA. We're going to go ahead and dismiss this case. And I'm like, of course you are, because I was going to have a good time
Right.
cross-examining that cop and beating his ass on the stand. I was ready for that. Like that's my fun.
That you're right, and it's like we'd be perfect together, lawyer and client, because it's your fun to speak to them, and it's my
I,
enjoy. It's my thing to get. I got my attorney in my case. I mean, the judge in my case called me the most arrogant person that ever been in her court.
I,
I was like,
I'm I'm
that's a
I'm
badge of
getting to that
honor.
point.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get to that point because some of these, a couple of the judges in here, they've been
Mhm.
lifelong prosecutors and now they're on the bench and now
Right.
they still have that kind of mindset. And sometimes you got to bring them back down. And plus, I know that I'm new to the profession, but
Right.
I am not new to life.
Right.
Right. I'm not one of these young attorneys who went, straight from grade school to undergrad to law school and now they're here.
25 years
Nah,
old.
man.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That ain't me. Like, I'm 41. I've been
Right.
around the block. I know what's going on. So if I come in here, you talk to me a certain way, you're gonna get it back like
Right.
the same
And
way.
you
I'm not one of you just gonna be kind of just shy and like to the back. No, I'm gonna give it right back to you, and then you're
right.
gonna look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm gonna be like, hey, I mean, if you want to,
I can
we
be
can have a
crazy.
conversation outside.
Right. And
If you
then
really
and then
want to.
and then you're a big dude. You're a big dude.
Right,
There
right.
is something that I hate to tell people this, and I know, but I understand my privilege of being 6'4", and I lean
Yes.
into it. I
Mm-hmm.
lean into it when it's necessary. Right? If it's in the
Mm-hmm.
service, 'cause it's something about when people know you will knock them out, their whole attitude changes on how they
100%.
perceive where you want to go. And that's what I
Absolutely.
tell. It's like, yeah, the crumb snatchers, they know. They say, he never gonna put his hands on us. He just gonna look tough and talk, right? But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, it's just the opposite. It's like I don't have anything else. And I think that matters, and that matters how we navigate. We have,
Yeah.
and that's why I say, and I'm not being male chauvinist, but I say I understand that in this environment, black men need to step up. We have been missing from the picture for too long collectively, and we have depended on black women to carry a movement in their hearts that we should be shouldering some of the weight it should be. And so that's what we bring to the table. It's going to tell you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm through talking. What's up?
Yeah.
I'm through talking. What is
Oh
your
yeah.
next? What is your next option? I mean, even when I was in prison, guards used to be like, y'all got him in handcuffs. We can't move him if you don't put him. Y'all got to
Yeah.
put some lead shackles on him or something, right? Well, I'm not little 5'6" guards coming up there. I'm standing in the door looking down at them intentionally. Because I'm letting you know when you open this door, you better have some restraints on me because I remember that bullshit you were talking when you passed by my cell while I was trying to rest. Yeah, I remember that. So you're not bringing me out of here without restraint. But that puts them on top of their game. That lets them know. Over time, they have that respect for you because they know, yeah, uh, yeah, he might get some more time, but I'm going home with a broken leg and some medical bills. So we're just gonna have to come to an agreement, and
Mm-hmm.
that works. That works
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, passiveness is not going to get us where we need to be collective.
No.
It's
Mm,
not. It
mm.
is not. The very reason why I thoroughly enjoy your call out video. Yeah, and I'm telling you, some of those videos when I be calling out racists and bigots, I just be wanting them to show up. That's it. That's why I talk about the easiest way to get to a racist and bigot is to talk about the inbred nature. They're gonna start spitting. They're gonna be so mad. So I'll be like, "Oh, you short ass up anytime. Y'all gonna call the police like you usually do, but you're not showing up." And it is something about them. It's something when you pretend to be a man. When somebody pulls your whole card and tell you that you're not showing up anywhere, yeah, they gotta live with that, and they hate it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But yeah, I think it would be good
Yeah, let's
to
do that.
talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
I think somebody had asked if it'd be state specific. I mean, I will, I always tell people, yeah, I don't know all the laws across all 50 states. It's always different in every state, but
I
there
know it.
are certain things that can be,
Right.
you can pretty much guarantee that will be uh factual across
Yeah,
all 50 states. They'll be very broad. So,
right. And I
yeah,
know the
that's some,
laws in every state
yeah.
I've been in that involves anything I've done. So I can
Yeah.
fill in. But there's certain things that are just apropos for your knowing your rights when you're pulled over. It doesn't change.
Ex- exactly.
Doesn't change. I want to also do, spotlight the rights that people don't understand that just because you're an immigrant in this country, there are certain rights and privileges you have that are protected by the
Yes.
Constitution, no matter where you are. I want to do that, so we'll put that on the list also. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's do that. I'll work up a promo. You're gonna have to turn your camera on. Gonna put you. Yeah, can't be just
Oh yeah, I'll find a spot that hasn't
yeah.
been destroyed by my children.
Yeah, we can,
I will get
and
some.
let me know. Let me know. Text me some dates that you would be available, and we'll go over them, and then we'll find out what's best, and I'll do a promo, and we'll do it on the show. We'll make sure it's the day I can go over. We'll also put it on the show because I think my international market doesn't understand how laws work here differently from where they work where they are, because they'll be
Right.
sending me things. They would say this is how y'all do it, and I'll be like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is how we do it, and it's good. But all that needs, and then that show we can put it up on YouTube so people can also have access to it there also.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right,
I'm here for it.
all right, y'all. All right, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. See, we're gonna get more into these, but just remember what I said to open this show. This is called Conversations with TNathan. And if your feelings are on your shoulders, or you just had a bad day, maybe it's not the best place to be, because while it is a safe space for you as an individual, it's not a safe space to defend your ideas or opinions. All right. So y'all have a good one. Remember my motto. Hold up. YouTube. We got